All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing George Pelecanos' Down by the River Where the Dead Men Go. This is book number 3 in his Nick Stefanos trilogy of books. I've got all of the George Pelecanos novels over here on the shelf right there, sitting next to my Dennis Lehane collection, which is appropriate because both Dennis Lehane and George Pelecanos write similar hard-boiled mysteries with similar prose, and they both were screenwriters on the epic HBO series about cops and drug dealers in Baltimore, and that series was called The Wire, probably my second favorite television series of all time after The Sopranos. But George Pelecanos wrote a lot of the scripts for that show. Anyway, let's get to the book here. Down by the River Where the Dead Men Go. I like the cover. You know, we always review the covers on this channel because I love graphic design and a cover illustration. This is a pretty cool cover. Well, I don't know if it's cool. It's like a picture of a seedy bar with some, drinks of scotch or whatever on the, what is this drink? What are these drinks? Bottles of beer. Look like Heineken to me. Although I'm not a drinker, so I wouldn't know. Is this camera even on? I can't even tell. Hopefully it's on. If it's not on, I will shout this book review as loud as I can so you guys can hear me wherever you're at. All right, so George Pelecanos novels, they all take place in Washington, D.C. It's partly why I like reading them, because it gives you an overview of what the D.C. area was like throughout the times. This one was written in 1995, so now we know what D.C. was like in 1995. In fact, he even mentions, I think it's a band called PM Dawn. They might have been a hip-hop / rap band from D.C. in that time frame. I Googled them, I YouTubed them, I'm like, I semi-recognize some of their songs, but I still don't know if this camera's even turned on. Was the song called Set Adrift on Memory Bliss? PM Dawn, Set Adrift on Memory Bliss. I think that was the song. Anyway, George Pelecanos throws a lot of pop references in like that. Things that he likes. So anyway, our main character, Nick Stefanos, he's a bartender / private investigator. He's drunk all the time. In the opening scene, he's drunk. And he stumbles out of the bar and gets in his car and drives drunk down to the river where the dead men go. And there he sees a murder. Well, he doesn't see a murder. He hears it. It's vague. He's drunk. He's not really seeing or hearing anything quite right, I don't think. But what he hears is a murder, kind of sees a silhouette of a murder, as two guys bring another guy out and they shoot him in the back of the head and dump him in the river, because down by the river, that's where the dead men go. And, Nick Stefanos himself just isn't really the most... you don't really like the guy that much. He's kind of a rough around the edges, a little bit of a douchebaggy character, a drunk all the time. Like, who drives drunk down to a seedy part of Washington, D.C., down by the river where the dead men go? This is a dumpy part of the river. You don't go to this place unless you're drunk or you're going to commit a murder and dump a body in the river. Those are the only two reasons you even go to this part of the town. And yet Nick Stefanos ends up there. And he can't really see the people that do the murder, but he hears their voices, he hears what they say. And he becomes kind of interested in, when he sobers up, or when he gets more sober, when he's less drunk than normal, he sort of becomes, since he's a PI, he's like, well, I want to kind of see, I want to see if I can solve this. And he's got in his bar that he works at, there's a guy named Boyle who's a cop. And I do believe Boyle is a character in the first two books. I'm just not quite certain about that. But anyway, Boyle, he tries to suss out some information from Boyle the cop about whatever he might know about the murders, or because clearly the body was found, and there is a murder investigation, yada yada yada. Boyle isn't really giving him too much information, but Nick, he's like, let's see, we'll edit this part out where I stumble here there. Through like I said before, through three books of this trilogy, Nick Stefanos isn't really that good of a guy. He's very flawed. Maybe he's a drunk. The plot, when we get kind of into the nitty-gritty of the plot, which I won't mention, this is one thing I did notice. This book is very reminiscent, very similar to the themes and plot that were in Dennis Lehane's. Now, Dennis Lehane also wrote scripts for The Wire. Very similar in plot and theme to Dennis Lehane's first book, A Drink Before the War. And I won't tell you what, but it involves rich people, young boys, and let's say young underage boys, and let's say maybe some movies that may or may not have been filmed. I don't even know how to word that without getting stricken from YouTube or demonetized. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Plots are similar. Now, this book came out in 95. Dennis Lehane's A Drink Before the War came out in 94. I wonder if that was a thing back... Well, it's probably been a thing since videotape was discovered. I think that's why men do... I think that's why, we came up with cameras. I think the first man that developed a camera, or a movie camera, I think his goal was to film naked people. I just do. I mean, why else would he have done it? I mean, at least maybe not the initial guy maybe not the initial guy that invented this stuff, but the second guy that got his hands on it, at least for sure. Okay, so anyway, this book involves in its plot drugs, alternative lifestyles, corruption in the government, and corruption in high places, and what people do on Epstein Island, I guess. But it's not Epstein Island. It's down by the river where the dead men go. That's where it happens. At least that's where people get killed who know the secrets. They don't even make it to prison and then commit suicide. They get taken down by the river where the dead men go. And Nick Stefanos, kind of in his drunken stupor, hears and sees sort of what happens, and he launches an investigation on the whole mess. That's the plot. It's pretty good. I like these books because George Pelecanos is a fantastic writer. All of his dialogue is crisp and brilliant. His descriptions of what's going on are fantastic. The characters are unique and quirky, and there's a lot of them that are unique and quirky. Very reminiscent of almost Elmore Leonard-esque in their Quentin Tarantino vibe-ish, mixed with The Wire by HBO. Anyway, I give this a solid 9.5 out of 10.